Okay, here is a little segment on the fiber optic on the front panel. Picks up its feed from this lamp on this side. This is the bass, low bass, and alto section for the tone controls. The wafer has small holes drilled into this wafer for each of the tone controls on this side, and there's 3 of them. And here is the front buttons for this wafer, and it has, I don't know if you can tell very good here, this pocket right here. Each of these have a pocket. I don't know why that is. Probably to lighten, probably to keep from using too much of the resin, epoxy resin, to make the button. But they hollowed it out, and that is what these tips, the ends of this fiber optic strand will go into in order to light up the front of the button. So in order to get this back together, once you get the chassis in the cabinet and get her bolted down, you have to take real care on getting this shoehorn back into the cabinet. And the fiber optic and the wafer has to be at this stage where the fibers, 2 each for each of the buttons, are poked through about 1/4 of an inch or so, whatever you need in order to get it, keep from losing it. Just take off any 2 of the strands, poke them through the holes like you see here, and get it into the cabinet. Get this back into the, sticking through the bezel, and then what you would do is take and get this sandwich back in there into its the position it needs to go in, and get it seated down in there like it should go. See if I can do this without breaking anything. It can be a little tedious and an issue. Now, once you get that wafer back on to the front assembly, put your screw in it, and then come back here and jiggle your fiber optics so that they go into that little slot that's in that back of that button. And you do that for each of the buttons. Now, I've done this a number of times on the radios that I've done, and it's getting a little easier for me to get her done. But for a person who's not used to it, it can be a pretty good of a challenge. Almost as much of a challenge as trying to restring the dial on some radios. I know a lot of people just balk at the thought of having to fix a string, the string routing for the dial control. So that's all you need to do for this side and the opposite side of the radio, is get those stuck in there like that, and just put your assembly back into the bezel on the front panel. And then you should get your lighting on each of your buttons. So I hope that takes care of any questions on how to get your radio adapted over to fiber optics for your tone buttons of these types of radios. It gives it a nice dressing to the final look of the radio, having those buttons lit. So that's all there is. That's all I have. Right here are all the components that came out of it, all the black beauties and the electrolytics. Here is the repair on that IF can that had the broken mount on the thing. You get some of that JB weld. Boy, that JB weld sure comes in handy quite a bit. So there's that repair. Okay, here's the chassis with the dial panel back on it and the dial indicator. The lamps are brand new. Here is the, if I can get this thing to focus up a little better than it does. Here is the fiber optic. It is drilled through the panel, sticks through and points right at the filament of that bulb. Same way on the other side. And then here is my phone is really lazy today for some reason. It must be all the light. It's not used to all the light. So here is the filament stuck into the little wafer on the tone control. So we're nearing completion on it. Okay, here is the completed underside of the chassis with the push button assembly back in. It has a new dust cover. The other one, it didn't have a dust cover at all when I got it. I had to fashion one up for it. Let's see, what else is there? This is the one with the cord already in it and completely wired in. There's not much left to do on this thing now except maybe get the tubes in it and get it checked out electrically. So there'll be more.